Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the What's This Button Do session on automation. So it's great to see so many people here this morning. I feel like I say this every webinar that we've hosted recently, but this is the most amount of registrations that we've received for any one of our webinars ever. So it's great to see so many people not just signing up for the session, but also coming into the Zoom room this morning. Rachel, thanks very much for taking us through the demo. Rachel, of course, for those of you who have not met her yet, is our head of support and is our go-to on all things AM, really. So Rachel's going to take us through automation and what it all means. So I suppose the purpose for hosting these sessions, it's a new initiative for us that we're just trying to be able to, I suppose, increase the contact that we're having with users, and also just to provide you a little bit of guidance on the system, just to try and show off some of our features, some of our functionality that perhaps you might not have seen yet or might not be utilising, just so you can really maximise your use and your output of the system. So as a bit of housekeeping, yes, happy St. Patrick's Day as well to everybody joining the call today. So a bit of housekeeping, we're happy to take questions as we go, but please do put them into the Q&A box. Don't put them in the chat box just because sometimes it moves on and we might miss them. So please do put all your questions into the Q&A box. Apart from that, Rachel, I suppose we're pretty much good to go, aren't we? So shall I hand over to you and you can start sharing the screen and start showing us all things automation?
Yes, of course. Okay. Right, so you should be able to see A to B Skip Hire Limited.
We can indeed, yeah.
Okay, so we'll start with some of the automations for onboarding your clients, like the first step in getting your client onto AM. So you've sent them the registration email, they've signed up with you. On the portal, they'll have the option to add in their previous accountant's details for you. You can then automate your clearance request from the previous accountant. So to do that, you pop onto the client file. We go down here to previous accountant, and we say, yes, clearance is required. And then hopefully your client's put in the email address if they haven't, if they've just sent it across to you. We'll just pop one in there. You can say if you want any specific details. If you want the clearance email to go straight away, you just put in today's date. You can say how frequently you'd like it to be requested. That's it, every day, every 2 days, depends how much you want to bother them. And once you're happy with that, you just click Update Client. And then the clearance email will pop into your queue and it'll keep chasing them on the frequency that you've selected. Once you've got the information, you just say information received, it'll stop sending those chaser emails out to your clients. Do we have any questions on the clearance emails at all?
Not at the moment. No questions coming in.
Yeah. It's all clear. It's relatively straightforward, that one.
Yeah, we're all clear so far. But as Rachel says, should you have any questions as we go through, just feel free to pop them in the Q&A, and we'll address them as we work through each section.
Yeah. The next thing you might want to do then for your client as you're onboarding them is request a 64.8 for them. So again, you come onto the client's file, you click onto HMRC 64.8.
Sorry, Rachel. We have just had some questions come in, so
okay.
I thought we might as well address them whilst we're here. What is the standard template for professional clearance?
Okay, so all of our templates are actually stored under settings and then templates. Most of the templates in AccountancyManager are used for some kind of automation, and they'll be labelled according to the name of that automation. So if we go down, I believe it has its own section. You can always do Control and F on this page to find what you're looking for. Oh, she says. Okay. Here we are. Yeah, the previous accounts clearance section. So you've got three templates. So you've got one's for the limited company, one's for self-assessment clients, and clearance email other. You can tweak the templates by just clicking Edit next to them. Change the wording. These are your global templates. So when the email comes to generate, it's going to use the template as it is here. Obviously, once the email has been created, it will be popped in your queue. So if there were some specific edits you wanted to make, you could just edit the email while it's in the queue before sending it.
Perfect. Rachel, that good. Brian and Elliot, I think that's answered your questions as well, because we had a couple of other questions about customizing the email and what information is sent. Here's another question for you. How long does it take for the professional clearance request to get sent?
Well, you can see this one's just popped in the queue and it's given us about 10 minutes before it's sent automatically. My queue is paused, so nothing will be sent without my say-so. But if you were to just leave it to its own devices, it'd be 10 minutes before it was sent out. If you're using the automated one, so if you're sending them on the frequency, say if it was due to be sent out tomorrow, it'd generate at about 5 o'clock this evening with an automated send time of, again, about 5 o'clock tomorrow. Quite a lot of our automations work that way.
Perfect. Thanks, Rachel. Pat, I've got your question. We'll come to it at the end of the session because it's about the client portal, but just focus on professional clearance at the moment. Rachel, if you want to carry on, I think we've answered all the questions in relation to professional clearance.
So we'll go back to A to B skip hire and we'll take a look at the chasers for 64.8. So you can link under settings, account settings, you can add in your HMRC gateway details and you can request some 64.8s through AccountancyManager. So once your details are in, you pop to the client's file and you can request various 64.8s. If these details are entered on the client's file, they will auto-populate in the request for you, and then you just click submit. That'll send I haven't put any details in. That'll just send the details across to HMRC. It's a digital request. They will tell you whether it's been accepted or not accepted, give you a reason why it's been unsuccessful. You can then automate chasing for the code. So to do that, you come to settings and automation settings. And then it's here on the left, agent authorization code reminders. So you tick it on here and then you can enter your days. So for my account at the moment, it would be 18 days after the 64.8 request had been made and then 26 days after the 64.8 request had been made. Again, the template is stored in the settings and templates. For this, it will be labeled authorization code reminder. And once you've got the code from your client, you have to put it into the HMRC gateway because currently their API doesn't allow you to put it into IM and share that information. But you come back to the client's file, click the 64.8 tab, and then there would be a forget button here to forget about the request if you want to stop the automated reminders. Have we got any questions on the 64.8 requests?
Yes, so we've just had one coming from Louise. 648, Louise has different agent info for self-assessment tax returns and corporation tax. I've loaded it somewhere, the self-assessment tax agent info, but no idea how to do corporation tax as difference.
It is, yeah. So the link that we have with HMRC will only allow the connection of one account. If you contact HMRC directly, though, they can merge your accounts so that you can have a single login for all of your 64.8s.
And Brian's just given us some feedback that HMRC doesn't tell us why it's being rejected, and no, this is a bit of a problem. I suppose that's one for us to consider here, isn't it, Rachel?
Yeah, I mean, once the request has gone in, you will get both an email from HMRC. You should get an email from HMRC as well as a notification in AccountancyManager. So you look at your notification bell, and it would tell you here 64.8 request for corporation tax for this client, and it'll say, request unsuccessful because the client data submitted doesn't match HMRC's records, for example. If you've got some where those aren't coming through, by all means, drop us an email with the example to support at accountancymanager.co.uk and we'll take a closer look.
Thanks, Rachel. Just a quick question on the email queue. So how can I auto pause my outgoing emails as in the example you've given, Rachel? Yours are already auto paused on your account.
Yeah, so if you just come over to your queue, so mine's paused at the second, if we just click unpause. So for this person who's asking this question, their queue is going to look like this right now. So all you need to do is just click pause outgoing, and now the queue's paused. Perfect,
nice and simple. I think that's all the questions we've got at the moment. Martine, I've seen yours about getting clients started. Well, we'll come to that one at the end as well.
Brilliant. Okay, in that case, we'll move on to requesting missing client details. So again, when your client portal registers, you'll notice if you go to Clients People, that you'll have some information showing as missing. In the actual registration email itself, it'll ask them for the missing information. So it'll literally list out, exactly what is still missing on that client's file. You can also request this information weekly. So again, under Settings, Automation Settings, you've got a little option here at the bottom, automatically request missing client details weekly. It says here when it generates, so it generates on a Tuesday at about 5:30 to be sent on a, queued on a Monday at about 5:30 to be sent on a Tuesday at about 5:30. This template again can be found under Settings Templates, but it is completely dynamic. So it will have a look at your client and say, national insurance numbers missing for this one, UTR numbers missing for this one. It'll prompt the client to log into their portal or register for the portal, depending on whether they're registered already or not registered, and they can supply those missing details to you via the GDPR compliant portal.
Great, thanks, Rachel. Got a couple of eagle-eyed users on the call today, and we've got a question. Why does your email queue say paused, whereas somebody else's says queue on the dashboard?
It may be because their queue isn't paused currently. So if I were to unpause my queue, it'd just say queue then. See the difference there?
Excellent. Brian, we got your feedback as well, so that's great. We'll take that on board. We had a couple of questions about trying to encourage clients to use the client portal and how can we sell that to clients really. Rachel, are you able to comment any advice on how to encourage users to get their clients to use the client portal?
We do have, if you check on our need help section, there is a little bit of text you can steal in order to try and convince your clients to use the portal. It's mainly centered around it being GDPR compliant. Obviously, if your clients are sending things like copies of their passport and their home address via email, although your email may be encrypted, it's not impossible to intercept that message and take those details. So that's really a good selling point to get your clients to engage with it. They can also check up other things on the portal, so they can check their deadlines, they can check their tax liabilities. The portal stores all of their documents, so they can get them anytime, day or night, without having to contact you to ask for something.
Great, thanks, Rachel. Is there a way within AccountancyManager that shows a list of all the automated emails issued to clients?
Is that to a particular client, or is it just
no,
what automations you've got turned on?
I'm taking that as, is there a list of that we can see all the emails that have been sent to clients, I suppose, that are scheduled and that have been sent?
There isn't presently. If the email has been generated, it'll be sat in your queue. Once the email's sent, it will show on your client's timeline. There's no real way to get an overview of all of the ones that have been sent. It is highly likely, though, depending on your email setup, that all of those emails are going to appear in your sent folder on your email application, whether that's Gmail or Outlook or something else.
Can we automatically request detail? Can the automatically requested details be amended at a client level rather than a global level?
They can't. No, this is one of those automations that's global only.
Okay. Someone's asking, can we see the way that the client will receive these emails?
Oh, well, once the email's in the queue, you can see how the email's going to appear to them. Obviously, it's going to depend on your template and what edits you've made to it. You may have changed the font because you use a different font for your practice. But this is, it is a preview of the email that's going to be sent out to them.
Perfect. Can we add an unsubscribe button to the email templates? Just we've got a user here saying that he's using it to send out newsletters to clients, and he'd like to be able to put in an opt-out button.
I think that would depend if you had like an opt-out service. So if you were using something like MailChimp that would track that for you, then you could certainly add the link to unsubscribe into the the bottom of the email template, the standard email template. I mean, you can email through Accountancy Manager, but it's not actually a mail shot service. So there's no one subscribed to an Accountancy Manager.
Angela, I've seen you raised your hand. If you want to submit a question, just use the Q&A box and I'll pick it up from there. Thank you. Just going back to professional clearance, can we outline what happens once we receive the information from the previous accountants? Do we have to manually enter the information that's being received?
You would, yes. It's going to come back to you just on an email. It's not like a form that's going to update the client for you. So the only action, well, obviously you get the email back from them, you take what actions you need to take with the information they've emailed back to you. And then just to stop the automation, you come back to the client file and just say that you've received the information.
Great, thanks, Rachel. If you want to carry on, I'm going to read through some of the other questions that have come in.
Okay. We'll move on now to the LOE resign. This is quite a new feature for Accountancy Manager. So if your client has got a letter of engagement signed, we'll say this, we'll sign it today. I apologise, bear with me. So if you've received your letter of engagement signed today, you'll get the option to request an LOE re-sign. And you can either do that manually or you can automate it. So you'll notice now on the client's file, there'll be a request LOE re-sign button. You can click this button and that will instantly remove this date and drop an email into the queue asking your client to sign a new letter of engagement. Again, though, you can automate this. So you can say that you want your clients to re-sign, say, a letter of engagement annually, for example. Tick this on here. It's 365 days. Tick this one up here while I'm here. And if we go back to that client now, you'll see this is one of those automations you can do both globally and per client. So if we come to the automation tab, we can change the LOE re-sign frequency for this client if we want to. The automation tab, where you can personalize it per client, it will also tell you what date it plans to send it. So for this one, it's going to be same time next year. But we could say, no, actually, we wanted it to be in half that time.
Great, thanks, Rachel. Got quite a few questions coming in at the moment. They're not all on automation, so I'm going to try and prioritise.
Sorry, John, I can't hear you.
Sorry, Rachel, I was going to say we've got quite a few questions coming in at the moment. They're not all on automation, so we're going to try and prioritise those ones for the purpose of today's session. But there are a few quick ones I think we can just address, such as, does Accountancy Manager integrate with Go Proposal at all?
Sorry, John, I lost you there for a second.
Sorry, Rachel. We just had a question regarding, does Accountancy Manager integrate with Go Proposal?
We do, yeah. So to integrate with Go Proposal, you just pop over to Tools and then Integrations. It's going to load. And then you just pop over to Go Proposal. And you just copy your key across to it. So the client can then be onboarded directly through Go Proposal. It'll be created in AM once they've actually signed up. Go Proposal will send across to us what services should be turned on, and a copy of all the signed documents that are associated with that onboarding.
Great, and we've had a question coming in saying that they use another proposal system which is not Go Proposal. Can they send the proposal to them to sign electronically as an attachment with the letter of engagement?
So you could, if you had the proposal as, say, a PDF, you could send that through Accountancy Manager. I'd say in that case, what you probably want to do, the way our onboarding works is you come through to clients and people. It'll request, missing data when there is missing data when you generate the email. And then the link for actually registering with the portal with Accountancy Manager is included in here. So there's two ways to register clients on the AM portal. You can either send an Accountancy Manager proposal, or you can send a registration email. And in this case, you could attach that proposal.
Great, thanks, Rachel. We had a question coming in saying, do we integrate with Practice Ignition? We would say yes through via Zapier.
Yeah.
So that's available for you. Can we insert a signature onto automated emails?
You can insert a signature into any email you send out, AccountancyManager. So again, you come to settings and then templates. And then you go, there we go, new template, email signature template. And you literally, if you're using one in Outlook or Gmail or something else right now, you can literally just copy and paste it into here. All your images, all your links will come across automatically. And then you just tick on, this is my default signature. It'll then be added to any email you send out of AccountancyManager, whether it's an automated one or a manually sent one.
Right, thanks, Rachel. Joanne's just asking a bit about training, really, with AccountancyManager. And she's saying, for instance, how does she know when she's sending the professional clearance emails which template is going to get sent, and how does she select it?
So it will be done directly from the client type recorded on that client file. So if we go back to previous accounts clearance, there we go. You can see it's literally listed out by client type. So if the client's a limited company, this one will be sent. If it's self-assessment, this one will be sent. If it's anything else, other is used. You can find the client type on the client file itself. So every client has a client type. If we go back to this one again, the client type's always listed in the required information box here at the top left. So it'll look at this client type, it'll send the accompanying template.
Great, thanks, Rachel. How do you turn on letters of engagement automation? That's coming from Tim.
Yeah, again, that would be under settings, automation settings. And then, yeah, you just literally tick this button on here and click save. And that's that automation turned on for you.
Perfect. Sorry, Rachel, I keep jumping around here. But I've got a question back on the email signatures. And how does AM determine which user the email is going to get sent from? And can the signature change for each user?
Yes, it depends on the email type, really. There are some emails that will always be sent from the client manager, for example. So if you're sending like a tax payment reminder, that's always coming from the client manager. Same with things like missing details requests. For some of our other automated emails, you've got the option here. So again, we're under settings, automation settings. You'll see at the bottom here, we've got the setting here is for automated record requests, which we'll come to later. They by default are sent from the client manager, or you can opt to send them from the owner of that task. So if Dave's assigned all the VAT tasks, the record requests for that service would come from Dave. For pretty much any emails outside of those, the signature is going to be the person actually sending the email.
Perfect. Back onto the Go Proposal integration. If we've got a prospect that's registered in AccountancyManager and they sign up through Go Proposal, should this automatically move them from being a prospect in AccountancyManager to a client, or does the user need to manually change them the term signed button on the client file?
Oh, as soon as Go Proposal let us know that the proposal's signed off, they automatically get term sign registration fee paid ticked on and move over to the client list at AM.
Another question here. So, does the missing information email need to be sent out if they've already received the proposal email?
Well, if you're sending the proposal, that's just going to list out your fees and your services for that client. So you may still want to chase missing details. When the client reads the proposal, clicks the link to go and sign off on the letter of engagement and registers for the portal, the first page that's going to come up for them is a page where they can fill out details that are missing. It doesn't mean they're going to, obviously. So you may still want to have that automation turned on just until you've got everything you need to work for that client.
Thanks, Rachel. Andrew, I've just seen your question about uncompleted custom forms. If we get chance on today's session, we might come to it. But today's session is really trying to focus on the automation functionality of AccountancyManager. So we might not get a chance to take around to uncompleted custom forms. But this is a series of webinars that we're going to host, looking to do over on a monthly basis, and we probably come to it later down the line. Rachel, should we carry on with the next demonstration, and I'll continue to read through some of the questions that are coming in.
Yeah, sure. So what we'll do is we'll have a look and see if I've got a portal registered client. Yeah. Okay, so the next automation we're going to look at is unsigned documents. So once a client is portal registered, you can upload documents for them to e-sign. Let's have a look. There we are. Pop that in there. And it'll ask now, do you want an e-signature? So we do for this one. And we'll click save. Once you've popped the document in, you can then automate chasing for a signature for that document. So again, you come to settings, automation settings. Again, these are global settings. So once they're on, they're on. And you pop down here and turn it on here. So unsigned document reminders. So from when the document has been uploaded and an e-signature has been requested, it would send an email out the following day, then 7 days later, then 14 days later. All of these days are malleable though. You can add more automation days in for that, but it saves you worrying about whether or not they've seen that document they need to sign, because it's going to keep chasing them for you. Again, the template for that is stored under settings and then templates. Here it is here, unsigned document, again, labeled exactly as it is on the tin, so to speak. So you've got unsigned document automated email. You can see it'll drop in the document name, and it'll want them to log into the portal and get that signed off for you. You can get an overview of all of your unsigned documents here as well. So it'll list out all the ones there. You can queue a reminder ad hoc from here too if you want to. So you don't have to automate these emails, but obviously it's time saving to automate them. Oh, you're on mute again, John. There we go.
Yeah, classic. 2 years into, yeah, I was going to say 2 years into the pandemic, I'm still doing it. So I'm going to take you to your email queue again. So Martin has got a problem that I definitely feel sympathise with. It's got a load of emails being scheduled. They're sat in the email queue. Realise there's a typo in all the emails. Is there a way to bulk delete those emails so they can be done again?
Yeah, if you want your queue clearing entirely, that can only be done by support, because once you do it, you can't go back. So we like to put that little extra step in just in case. So yeah, if you give us a call or drop us an email, we can delete everything in the queue for you, help you get those requeued.
So Sarah's just commented saying that the emails that are auto sent from the client manager, is it possible to change that? I think you covered that, didn't you, Rachel?
Yeah, the only ones it's possible to change that are automated record requests. So automated record requests, you can opt to send those from the person who owns the task rather than the person who owns the client.
Can you change the headings on automated emails?
You can't, no, those are set in stone, but it'll be clear what it is. I mean, once the email's in the queue, then you can click edit next to it and you can change the subject if you really need to. Rachel,
you sit back for this question. I can handle this one. It's the one from Pat that's coming saying, is today's session being recorded so we can look at it again? Yes, it is indeed. We're recording it now, and we will send it out later this afternoon to everybody that's registered for today's session. So, Rachel, back to you. When you request an e-signature, you also have to make the document visible to the client. Is this correct? That's from Steve. To be fair, when you tick on request e-signature, it'll automatically make it visible to the client. There are 3 options when you upload a document. So you can just take a quick look at it again. And what I'll do is I'll take you to the edit page. This is literally the page that comes up when you first upload it. But you've got the option to see what I mean here. So we've requested an e-signature, it's automatically visible. If we untick that, you can either make it a document visible to your client, so just to look at, or you can hide it from them completely, so it's just for your records. So if we were to hide this one completely, it'll throw a tag onto this documents tab as well for you, so you can see, hidden from client, visible to client, requested e-signature. Right, we might have to do a session on the GoPropose integration, because we have another question coming in here. When a client signs up in GoProposal and they move from being a prospect to a client in the AM, Can you automate the onboarding checklist to appear in your task list?
It actually does that. So yeah, when it ticks on term sign registration fee paid, the onboarding task will be dropped into your task list for you.
Great stuff. Thanks, Rachel. If you want to go on to the next one, I'm going to have a quick skim through some of this question.
Yeah, well, the next one is actually, to go back to an earlier question, unsigned custom forms. So we're not going to go into custom forms in great detail because this is an automation webinar. But if you had, I'll see if I've got any, I should do, hopefully. If you've got a few custom forms that you've issued out, of course I haven't, then you'd be able to chase those clients to get them to fill out that form for you. So again, that settings found under automation settings. And again, you just tick it on here. So once the form's been issued to the client and you've asked them to fill it in, again, with this automation, it'd be 1, 7, and 14 days after the date the form was made available to them. Again, the email that goes out is stored under settings and then templates, and it is just an email that prompts them to sign into the portal and get that form filled out for you. Any questions on that one at all?
No, I don't think so.
Not yet.
No, not yet. But I've got some other questions that I can certainly come to. So Fiona's question is a little specific, but I think actually it's probably going to be beneficial for the group actually. So would it be possible to create an email to send to all clients registered on AM? For example, requesting them to re-sign the letter of engagement for all clients following a name change of the practice and address. So obviously the name of the business has changed from ABC Accountants to XYZ Accountants. Need to re-sign the LOEs for everybody. Is it possible to do that in AccountancyManager? It
certainly is. There isn't a tool that will strip out the letter of engagement sign date for clients at the moment. It's certainly something that's on my wish list though. But if you get in touch with support, we can get those dates removed for you if their date's in already, if it's a prohibitive amount, if you've got like hundreds of clients. And then you can literally just do an email all from the client list and just ask them all to log in and re-sign.
Okay, back to the Go Proposal integration. In Go Proposal, accounts and corporation tax are one item. So therefore, once the integration switches on the accounts as a task, it doesn't switch on the CT600 in AccountancyManager. Have we come across this our end, Rachel? And do we have a workaround for it?
So the way Go Proposal have built this integration is that their line item links to a service in AM, and you can map which line item links to each service. So I would say in Go Proposal, you're going to want to separate out those two line items. So have one for accounts and one for the other. And then you can link them to the relevant AM services. But that would be a tweak you'd need to make in Go Proposal to have separate line items to link to separate services. So
here's a good question. So this practice offers customers a new proposal and fixed price each year. So what they have to do, they have to change the LOE slider to force the customer back to being a prospect to then send the proposal button again. Is that best practice, or is there a better recommendation that we can give?
At present, that's really the only way to do it. Again, if only James Riley was here, John, we could have we could pick his brains over it. Who's our project manager? Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something that we've been asked about before, but the way you've just described there is presently the only way to do it.
I think that we're always looking to take on additional feedback from users. So if that's something that is of interest, we will certainly listen to it. And I believe we're going to have a feature request board coming live in the next few weeks. So you'll be able to give users the ability to provide feedback on things, a lot more accessibly. Here's another question for you. Is there a way to extract a list of clients who have not signed an LOE?
Yeah, absolutely. So you come to, got quite a few tabs on the go now. You come to your client list here. If you just want to see this information on the fly, you don't permanently want to see a column for it, you just go to add filter, and we'd say letter of engagement signed date. And you can just add a column in for that. With the add filter function, the column just drops in temporarily. So if we just click clients again, it'll reload the screen without this in. But here you can get an overview of exactly who signed what when.
Right, and that also answers Tim's question. That was also sat there. I was about to come to next. So that's perfect. Excellent, Rachel. If you want to carry on, I'll be quiet for a moment.
Okay, well, we'll move on to automated tax payment reminders. These are quite handy. So we're going to look at a limited company first. There's 3 tax payment reminders we do in AccountancyManager, but we'll have a look first at the one for corporation tax. So you'd pop your details in here. So you'd say, how much corporation tax they owe. And then the next step you need to take is to put in the HMRC year-end date. So this is not the date the payment is due. This is the year-end date this payment relates to. And you can see here, the payment date is going to be automatically calculated to be 9 months and 1 day from this year-end date that you enter. And then you'd pop in their payment reference number. You just need the 2 digits. Select their tax office. And then just click Update Client. This is, again, one of those emails you can send ad hoc. So if we just let the page refresh, you'll see now we've got a button here. If we click this button, it's going to automatically queue an immediate reminder for that client. Again, under Settings, Automation Settings, we've got tax payment reminders. Again, you just tick it on the top to actually activate it. So for corporation tax, it's going to look at that payment date and it's going to email them 28 days, 21 days, 14 days, 7 days, and the day before that payment is due. If we wanted to stop those reminders, then you just come back to the client's file and you just wipe the amount due clear. And then no further reminders will be queued for that client for you. We do them as well for VAT. Our VAT ones work ever so slightly differently. So you'd have your VAT service switched on. You'd have date well in the past there. Pop any date in. So you put in your VAT bill amount due and what date it's due. And again, under the automation settings, it'll send out a reminder days before that date for you. Where you're entering these tax liabilities as well, it'll also pop the tax liabilities onto the client portal. Our VAT one's a little bit smarter than our CT600 one in that it will actually it should clear the date after the billing date's passed. The last one that we do is for self-assessment clients. So again, it's very similar to our CT600 one. You come under accounts and returns details, and you'd pop in what this customer owed for the different dates. It'll tell you explicitly what date. So whether it's January or July, these will move over as the tax years move forward as well. Again, you just specify which tax office we're working with. And again, with this automation, you can queue separate emails for the 2 payment dates. But obviously under automation settings, you can automate these to keep going out with the self-assessment ones as well. I mean, the dates will roll on automatically, but if the client lets you know they've paid, again, you just clear the amount completely and it'll stop those reminders for them. Do we have any questions on that one, John?
An interesting one's just popped up. When the green dialog box on the left tells you the client file is updated, can you carry on working or do you have to wait for the task to be completed?
Well, you can carry on working. Yeah, the little timer is literally just how long that's going to show on screen. It's not putting a freeze on you doing anything.
Rachel, could you show us an example of what the tax reminder email looks like? Does it include relevant bank details for HMRC?
It will do, yeah. Okay, go back to that client. So again, the templates are stored under templates, but it will, if we queue one of these, we can take a look at it. Queue one for July, make it a bit more relevant. So here we are. This is a tax payment reminder for the self-assessment client. So you can see where we've selected Cumbernauld, it's popped in Cumbernauld sort code and account number. If you'd selected Shipley, it'd pop in their details. It also includes a link for them to pop through to the site and get it paid as well.
Thanks, Rachel. Louise has said that with automated tax payment reminders, obviously you put in the amount of tax that's owed, and there should be a link to HMRC as you may be chasing them to make payments and they've already paid. If you are chasing all the time, ignore the clients, can you show the self-assessment tax returns as well? So I suppose the question there is, how do you update once the client has paid? How do we stop the automated emails going?
Yeah, so you just pop to the client file and let it know that there's nothing owing, basically. So you come to accounts and returns details, and you would just take out these numbers completely out. It's not quite smart enough to work out that if you put £0 and £0, that's nothing. So it'll just tell your client they owe £0 and £0, just putting that out as a warning for everyone. But if you clear these two fields completely, it'll stop bothering them for it.
Great, thanks. Back to Eloise. So we've got an example here where basically, I think the long and short of it is, if the prospect doesn't sign the LOEs, is there a way of automating the process to get to remind them that they need to sign the LOEs?
There isn't at present, no. Again, that's one of those things that's on my wish list, and I'll keep nagging the planning and development team until we get something in for that.
For self-assessment payment reminder emails, could they include the client's K payment reference number?
They could do, yeah. So, I mean, all of our templates can be tweaked. We do include in this particular email as little information, I know it seems silly to include as little information as possible, but just for security, we don't include things like their UTR numbers, for example. But for any field where you've got data stored on AccountancyManager, we just click edit next to any template here. You can literally drop in the information from that field. So if you're looking at the main contact, you could say drop in their NI number or drop in their UTR number, and add it. Any detail you've got stored on the client file, you can add automatically to that email by simply popping these tags into the email here.
Excellent, thank you. Louise, obviously seen your comments. We'll take the feedback on board and talk to the development team about it. Back to the Go Proposal integration. If a user uses Go Proposal for both proposals and letters of engagements, how do you register the client on the portal?
It is one of those things you would have to go into AccountancyManager and ask them to register. So you'll get a notification. So whoever's the client manager is going to get a notification. This client has now signed their proposal in AM. And then you'd pop to clients and people and send them an email from here in order to ask them to portal register. It's one of those things, though, that we have been chatting to the Go Proposal team about. So there is, we're in discussions to see if there's a way we can get it to do that automatically for you. But it's nothing confirmed yet.
Is there a client type for sole traders if you don't do their self-assessments?
There isn't, no. It's not possible to add client types in AccountancyManager either. What I would say for those clients is I would set them up as sole trader. I'd set up a custom service on my account called Sole Trader Accounts. You can set the client type as self-assessment and then just have that service turned on for them. If the client is VAT registered, but our user is not preparing the VAT returns, how do they prevent the HMRC agent form being sent to the client in the proposal? Oh, okay, yes, that is an account setting. So that's settings, account settings. And we have a little sneaky button here that says include 64-8 PDF in proposal email. You can just turn that off and click save settings. It won't include that PDF requesting those details.
Great, thanks, Rach. If you want to carry on, I think we're good for the moment.
Up to date. Okay, so the one we're going to move on to is record requests, which I suspect is why everyone's here. Okay, so we go automation settings again. So for any service you've got turned on for a client, whether it's one of AM's standard services or it's a custom service you've created yourself, you can request records automatically for that service. So again, under automation settings here, you can see you've got days for each one. On my account currently, all the days are stripped out for these services. So say if you just wanted to have a go and you had a few VAT returns at the end of this month, you can take out all the days and just put in a few days for your VAT returns. So you can see next to each one of these, we've got a little information button. And if we hover over that, it's going to tell you what date it's going to be looking at in order to send that request to that client. With our records requests, all of the templates are stored here under templates. And again, they're all labeled in accordance with the settings. So see here, each one is labeled. This would be the one for our VAT return. It'll automatically drop in the period end this VAT return relates to. You can tweak this if you want to, obviously. If we go back to our client again, you can see here, this is one of those automations that you can tweak at client level. So make sure we've got VAT returns on. This particular client, I'm going to make sure I've got some dates in as well. Yeah, we have. Fantastic. Okay, so if we go to automation, you'll see here you've got the VAT records requests, and you can see what days it's due to send them out on. It literally gives you the dates as well. If you've got a client that absolutely hates getting emails and they only need telling once, you can just, at this level, take them out. If you've got someone who's a little bit useless and they need lots of reminders, you can add more days in for them. And you can see it adjusts here. You've also got the option with the records requests to create your own template. So custom template here is currently showing as blank. So it's going to be sending out the standard template we were just looking at before, but you could make a really specific template if you wanted to. So you can come to settings and templates. And then we go to new template, custom automated email template. And you create a name for your template. So we'll just go say test. And you pop some text in there. Again, you can use the client variables if we're talking about VAT to populate some of the details from the VAT section. So we can tell them what frequency their VAT return is done at, when the next return is due, when the period end is. And then you just click to save this template. Just place this at the top. If we go back to that client now, we'd be able to apply this template from a list. So now we know this particular record request is going to use this template. These can be quite useful if you are doing something very specific for a client. So for example, if you're doing a self-assessment return and your client gets rental income or capital gains tax, you can create a template specifically to request those extra details. You could go as far as to have a template for each rental client. So I need the return information for number 74 and number 34, or you could just have one that's a little bit more general. But it allows you just to make the automated record request that little bit more personal. And if you've got clients you do something specific for, that little bit more useful. You can also choose who these requests go to, as you can see here. So say if you were doing record requests for a payroll client, you could change who this email gets sent to be the person that gives you the hours each week and address it to them directly. With all of our record request automations, in fact, all of our automated emails, if we look under client info, they will all aim to send to the email address that is stored under main contact in the first instance. If that's not appropriate, you can, under company details, it's the same for partnerships. Under business details, you've got a similar field called partnership email address, but for companies, you've got company email address. You can add more than one email address here as long as you separate them with a comma. So say if you've got someone who's running several limited companies and they've got a different company email address for each, you can make sure those record requests are being sent to the right company rather than just bombarding the person that owns the company with different requests for different companies. Do we have any questions on these ones?
There's been a few questions.
There have been.
So I'll start with Louise. So the example given here is for self-assessment record requests. So she has custom fields to tell what income and costs they have for self-employment, such as rental income, bank interest, etc. The request is, can we send the record request and it looks at the custom fields if they're switched on, then that appears in the email for records they need. The same because clients might not pick up exactly what's required.
So it sounds like struggling to see what the custom fields may be. They may be tick boxes, they may be data fields. You can use some of every time you create a custom field in AccountancyManager. So if you want to create a field, just look at that briefly. You go to settings, account settings, and you go to manage custom fields, and you can create here, like I've got a few. So you've got one that's a drop down, one that's a text field. If we create a new one, you can give the field any name you want. So you could say rental income, and you can add it to any section you want to, pretty much. So we could say we want that under internal. We want it to be a text field, one line. And then if we move back to templates, and again, I'm just going to pick on any template because the variables are available in all of them. If we look under client variables now, we added that to the internal section, and it'll be here at the bottom. So we could add a tag to the email to say, this was a text field, include the text that's in this box. The trouble you're going to have with this, Louise, is if there isn't any text in that box, it's going to say missing information. So it will just drag through whatever is in their custom field when it goes to generate those emails for those clients. If you wanted to, if again, this was just a few clients that had this particular field and it was just relevant for a few clients and you had the data in for them, you could use a custom automated email template. And then obviously the field's always going to be populated because for that specific group of clients you've got, that field is always populated, if that makes sense.
It does to me. So moving on, do the record requests have a link to the client portal or ask to upload information to the portal?
They don't really. They do just say, please get your records to me as our basic default templates. But as with all templates in AccountancyManager, they are absolutely customizable. I suspect they are this way because you might not have all of your clients registered on the portal. It's a fairly unique thing for everyone to have all of their clients on the portal. So it does just make it a little bit more accessible. But you could certainly drop in a link to your portal there.
Look, Louise just commented saying it's perhaps might benefit from running through a few things again. I think, I suppose it's a wider point for everybody on the call today. If there's anything that we're not sure about or you want to discuss further, Rachel, they can always contact your team, can't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
So please, obviously our support team is excellent. We don't charge anything for their time. So please feel free to get in contact with the team if you want to talk about any specific examples or questions that you may have. But for now, I'll carry on working through the questions that we've got. Is there a template for professional clearance for a specific service such as payroll?
With the previous clients, clearance templates, they are quite general. They're not dynamic either. So that, as we mentioned before, they go by client type. So you've got one for each of your client types. The email will go into the queue. So you can edit the email once it's in the queue if you wanted to, say, just ask about payroll rather than asking about everything.
So here's an interesting one for you. So when the reminder is sent out for the LOEs 365 days later, if throughout the duration of that year, the services that the client receives have changed, will the LOE automatically be updated to reflect those new services?
It will do, absolutely. So it will reflect whatever services you've got ticked on currently under services required. So literally anything you've got ticked on here. If you've turned something on throughout the course of the year, it'll include that for you.
Great. If you set up annual accounts and corporation tax due dates, does this appear in your task list?
It will do, yeah. So if you've turned the service on here and you've entered your deadlines for those services, then a task will be created for that. Also with the records requests, I forgot to mention that they will update your task as well. So once the record requests have been generated, it'll update your task to say records requested. Let's see if we've got any on the list here. So it'll say records requested. You can make the update manually as well. Let's say if this one had its record requested, it would drop in a tag to say records have been requested for this. To stop that automation, you just say that records have been received, or you in fact move to anything past records requested, and it would stop bothering them for the records.
Great. How can we create automatic tasks for self-assessment tax returns for company directors?
You just add a self-assessment client file for that director. So if you had a, say if you've got the limited company created already, you could say, you create your, sorry, I'll start again. You've already got the limited company. I've literally just said that. So if you've got the limited company already, you come to clients, new client, client type, and you click self-assessment. And then you'd find that director that's you're acting for the limited company in your list. So we could say, it's Stephen from A to B skip hire again. You'd then say, yeah, do your self-assessment. And you drop in your tax year for it. It'll pop in your deadline automatically. And then you click add client. Then you can get them to sign off a letter of engagement for that self-assessment. If the self-assessment is something new, if they're an existing customer, obviously you can fill in the LOE sign date and tick them on to be a client yourself rather than onboarding him.
Great, thanks, Rachel. How much is on your list still to go through?
Well, I was going to look at the latest actions. Again, that should be fairly quick. So if we look at settings, automation settings, this is a follow-on from records requests. So you'll see when we were on the task list before, we updated, I said the automation is going to update it to records requested. There are some that you can do after that. So say if your client had only put in part of their records, you still needed a few bits from them, you can ask them for those few extra bits. This particular action can be taken from the task list or from the client file. So you can say update, and you can say part records received. It'll bring up a box. I will update that there. And on the client's file, any update you make to the task on the task list will automatically be updated to the latest action. She says on here. That's because I've already said records received. I've confused it now. So part records received. And yeah, here you go. It said example. There is a way to automate the request. So you can list out exactly what you want in here, what you're still looking for from them. And if we move to settings, automation settings again, you'll see you can automate these requests. So if my client provides only some of their records, I can chase them the day after I've marked it as I've only received some 3 days, 7 days, 14 days. Again, this will refer directly to the templates. So we've got the latest action requests here. You can see for the part records received email, it's going to say thanks for sending us your records. However, we're still waiting on the following. Whatever you've entered into that box, it's going to list out automatically in this email for you. And again, that will send out a frequency until you update it to records received. We do them for a few others as well. So if you've sent accounts off for approval and you've set them to awaiting approval, you can keep chasing your client saying, I'm waiting for approval on this. Same for payments outstanding as well. Are there any questions on those, John?
No questions came in on that section. You might as well carry on.
Yep, and the final thing I was going to touch on, again, under automation settings, it's all well and good sending your clients automatic emails, but it's no good if they don't read them. So if you've got SMS set up on your account on AccountancyManager, you can also send a text message out alongside all automatic emails. So the emails generated, again, with the records requests 24 hours before they're due to actually send. So if they were due to be sent tomorrow, they generate at about 5 o'clock tonight. When they're actually sent tomorrow, a text to go out alongside your email to say you've received an email from your accountant. So if they've ignored your email, or if your email has slipped into their spam folder, they've also got this text notification to prompt them.
Great, thanks, Rachel. We've just got a few questions to finish up with, not specifically about automation, but whilst might as well address them just to cover everything. So we've got a good scenario here where it's a new practice for accountancy manager. They've got existing clients. What's our recommended process for getting them all set up within accountancy manager? Obviously, they don't need to re-sign the terms or letters of engagement because they're already existing clients. So what's the correct procedure for getting them put onto AM and setting up the client portal?
Yeah, so I'd say get your clients imported. If you've got them in something else right now, you don't have a record, whether you're running your practice off an Excel spreadsheet or another program. You can, under tools, import clients. You'll see there's the option to download a spreadsheet that you can fill out. We can arrange to get if you've got, I mean, to be honest, a lot of people who come on board with us use it as an excuse to get everything up to date, so they'll get their LOEs done. But if you've got dates for all of your clients as to when they last signed the letter of engagement, we can get those in for you. You don't need to propose fees to them because they're already clients. So you just pop to clients people once all your data's in, and you can email them en masse if you don't mind getting a few phone calls asking about your new portal, or you can just do them in little batches and start getting the portal registered.
Aggie, I've seen you've raised your virtual Zoom hands. If you've got a question, please do pop it into the Q&A box because we're getting to the last few now, so we're going to be wrapping up shortly. As I was asked how to send and receive emails to clients from Accountancy Manager, do you want to give us a bit of an overview on that?
So you'll see, probably as we've been pottering around, on every client file, you've got the option to send an ad hoc email. So you've got send email here. So you can send an email whenever you want to, or you can opt to send the automated emails we've discussed today. To get your email set up, you just pop to settings and then my details. And then you just click update incoming and outgoing email. You select your incoming email provider, whether it's Gmail, Office 365 or something else. If it's Gmail or Office 365, you can just log into your Gmail or Office account and it'll auto connect for you to send emails. If you're using something else, there's an option called Other, and you just need to find out what their SMTP connection details are. If you get stuck with that, though, support are always happy to help. If you're an Office 365 customer, we can set up an email forwarding rule for you automatically. So not only are you able to send from AM, but your client's replies come back in. With Gmail, you just need to set up a forwarding rule. And with any other provider, you just need to set up the forwarding rule yourself to knock the replies into your account.
Great, thanks, Rachel. And again, on emails, Lee's asked, can you get received emails into Accountancy Manager?
You can, yeah, that would be the email forwarding rule. So you just have your email forwarding rule set up to push the responses that you get from your clients into AM.
And you can see them all in your email manager now, can't you?
You can, yeah. If you're getting them forwarded in, they'll appear on the client's timeline. So it'll look and where it can find the email address. It'll push it into there for you, or you can go under Tools Email Manager and it'll display them all there for you.
Question here, Rachel, I'm not sure if it's one for us, but do letters of engagements have to be signed annually?
That would be down to your governing body as to what their rules are on it, to be honest.
Michelle's given us some feedback about why is there no option under accounts and corporation tax to show they've been submitted. Yeah, we'll take that feedback on board.
You would just mark the task as completed, I believe. So once you've submitted the corporation tax, you just mark the task as completed and it should move on to the next period for you.
Amanda's asked if there's anything in the roadworks to make AM an app rather than just desktop. It's one for the roadmap, to be honest with Amanda. We've got lots of things in the pipeline and lots of priorities that we're working on. So it's just we can only do so much at one time, but we'll take that feedback on board. How do you link emails to clients?
As that incoming emails, or if you're sending them outgoing from Accountancy Manager, it knows which client you're talking about, so it pops it onto their timeline. For incoming emails, it'll check so when the email's forwarded to us, it'll check the address it was from, and where it can find that on the client's file, whether it's under main contact, secondary contact, company details, business details, it'll drop it onto that timeline automatically for you. If it can't find the email address, it's still going to appear under Tools Email Manager, and you'll have the opportunity there to link the email to that timeline if you want to. So say if you do someone's self-assessment and their mortgage broker gets in touch with you for some details, obviously the mortgage broker's email address isn't really anything to do with that person's self-assessment. It's not going to be stored on their client file, but you can attach that email.
Right. How quickly can we get the bulk delete on emails done as everything comes into a certain email address, not just client stuff?
So if it's a bulk delete of the queue, if you just get in touch with support if we're in the office, it's pretty much instant.
Great stuff. Sarah's asked if she can rewatch this in her own time. Sarah, absolutely. Recording will be sent to you later this afternoon, so you can watch that at your leisure. Rachel, if we have clients with multiple companies, do emails appear on every client timeline with that email address as the client email?
Would you say if you had someone's address, so like someone was a director of several companies and they emailed you in from their personal address, it wouldn't know which company it was talking about. So it would, just for safety's sake, pop it onto all the timelines.
And that's, sorry, just another question coming in for on the same thing. So are we planning to add other file types that are viewable directly in AM? For example, PDFs you can do at the moment, but not JPEGs, as an example. It's just, again, it's one for us to consider, isn't it, Rachel?
It is, yeah. That would be looking to put that in as a feature request.
Is there something being set up to enable users to request VAT authorization online with HMRC through AccountancyManager?
We'd love that, but they'll have to finish MTD first. Which is a little bit up in the air at the moment, isn't it? Yeah, there's quite a few extra bits and pieces. So if you're doing a 64.8 through AM, you can do everything except VAT and SA 800, and that's simply because HMRC don't currently provide that functionality. If they do provide it, obviously it's something we'll be jumping on.
Are there any plans to make new documents uploaded to the portal obvious? If the client has folders, for example, it can be difficult to see what's being uploaded to where.
They do if they go onto the client file. So they go into the portal, hover over documents, select the client file. There is actually a view all documents button, and that will display them in date order.
Great, thank you. This is our final question at the moment, Rachel. And can we show again how to enter a custom field and choose which section it goes in? And I think this is in the templates.
Of course. So that's under settings and then account settings. These are quite handy for things like if you have got an opt-out for mailing letters, you can actually filter these on the client list. Maybe we'll just do that quickly. So if we say new custom field. So we can say newsletter opt-out. We could make it a tick box. We could pop it in, required information, hit save. There it is, popped into the list. Again, if we pick on a client here, see now here, say newsletter opt-out, yes, for this client, update client. If we go back to our client list now, we can use the add filter function we looked at earlier. So we could say newsletter opt-out, yes, no. And we could say, I just want to see the people where that is turned off. And it has dropped that one off the list. So then when you do email all, when you've excluded the people that have said they don't want to be on your newsletter, when you do email all, it'll exclude that person for you.
Great stuff, Rachel. Well, I think that's it for all the questions. We've got no more questions coming in. I'm conscious of time. I'm going to dismiss everybody shortly. But I suppose just to kind of like wrap up, we really do want to say, obviously, we're trying to make, inform you guys about how to maximize your use of the system. any questions, please do get in contact with the support team, and give us a call. You'll probably talk to Rachel or one of the team. We're always happy to help, aren't we, Rachel?
Absolutely, that's exactly what we're here for.
Great. And Rachel, big thanks to you. I certainly couldn't have demonstrated everything that you've done today. I've learned something. I'm hoping that everyone else has learned something too. So I want to say thanks to Marcus, who's our head of sales, has been on the call as well, answering lots of questions in the chat box. It's been great to see the chat box so active as well. So that's been great. And of course, thanks everyone for joining in and for registering for the session today. It's great to see AM users so engaged with the product. So, yeah, we really do appreciate your time and your enthusiasm for Accountancy Manager. As I say, I'm going to download the recording now, and we will get this shared out with everybody that was registered later this afternoon. So please feel free to rewatch it if there's anything that perhaps we missed first time round, and or share with your team as well. So yeah, thanks everybody. I wish you all a great afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks very much.